Hi, okay, right, so this is my first little take, trying to keep this under a minute, so I'm trying to keep an eye on the time as well. So Richard Hamilton, I guess this is the artist that I'm going to do the research on. Still feel a bit unsure about it, but at the end of the day, I've done a kind of similar piece of work, and I've already started to sort of check him out on the internet, and I'm curious, and I just want to get on with this. To be quite honest, I want to really try and get back in touch with my creative side, which is not always easy for me, to be quite honest. But anyway, as I say, I'm trying to keep this under. It's coming up to a minute now, so I'm just conscious of not overloading. So okay, so now I'm documenting my process of the response to the research I'm doing on Richard Hamilton. I'm putting glue on the back of this print that I did from my computer. It's a photograph of my computer, and I will sort of explain a bit more about what the whole idea behind this, but essentially it's in response to his collage that he made about modern living, and basically I'm trying to say with mine about how we live our lives with computers and numbers, and how we rely on little notes to ourselves constantly. Right, I'll have to stop now, let that dry. Right, so as in the previous little I tried sticking my printed piece of paper with the picture of my computer with this glue. It's just a cheap glue, but it's a clear glue. It's supposed to stick paper and stuff, but I found that it was a bit too wet, and the paper just basically crinkled up, and it looked a bit of a mess, to be quite honest. I've just thrown it away literally this minute. So if you're ever thinking of doing this, I think I would suggest, I'm going to try it, but again obviously I'll get back to you if it doesn't, but I'm going to try one of these little glue stick things. It's a bit drier, and I'm hoping that this won't be as crinkly and as messy as the wet glue. So basically I'm going to try again. I'm going to have to print out another one, but anyway, hopefully this time it'll work. Right, now I've printed out another one. This time I've done it on yellow paper, just basically experiment, and just want to see if it does anything different. There's still a bit of wet glue on there as well, which is already starting to have an effect on this paper. I think this paper's too thin, to be quite honest. I haven't really got anything thicker. I don't know if to try something else. I'm going to try the glue stick, in the hopes that, as I say, it will be less messy and it won't crinkle the paper, hopefully. I'm trying now. Oh, great. Oh, right, I've got it going. Right, okay. So I'm going to give it another go in the hope that this will work. I've no idea. I hope it does. As I say, my response to my research of Richard Hamilton is in a sense that I've noticed that I'm trying to keep these videos under a minute as I was. Okay, I'm just letting that dry now. But as I say, wet glue with that thin paper, it's not brilliant. It gets really crinkly. I mean, obviously there is a technique you can use, which I could prepare the paper beforehand. It's called stretching the paper, which why I didn't think of doing that before, actually. Maybe it would have helped, possibly. See, if you stretch the paper, it's very easy. If you get some brown gum tape, and you get a piece of wood, a flat piece of wood, basically to whatever size you need the piece of paper, really. And basically then you use the gum paper, you soak the paper first, soak it in water, completely wet, and then you stick it to the board, and then when it dries out it wants to shrink, it can't, and so then when you wet it again, while either using paint or in this case trying to glue it to something, it shouldn't crinkle, all being well. So anyway, I'll better stop. Okay, this is about the third attempt now. It doesn't seem to be working very well, and yet I have done this before onto canvas, but as I say, at the moment it doesn't seem to be working. I'm going to try again, third time lucky, I guess, but that's part of the process of art, really. That's part of its process, you know what I mean? Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. You know, it can be frustrating, but you know, it's a learning process. You know, that's the thing. You try things, see if it works. Sometimes, like I say, it does, sometimes it doesn't. And I guess the trick is not to get too frustrated when it doesn't work, you know, and not to give up trying either. You know, as I say, this is the third attempt now, so we'll see what happens. Okie dokie. Right, I'm now trying to adhere it to the canvas. At this stage it doesn't really matter if it's straight on or not at the moment. I mean, it's going to be a montage of different things anyway, so you know, a collage montage. It's definitely not sticking very well at all. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if it's the paper or if it's the glue stick I'm using. I can't remember what I used last time, to be perfectly honest. But as I say, I have produced a piece of work doing this before, although I varnished the last one, but that was after I'd stuck it down. Maybe the varnish helped to keep it that way, and it was newspaper as well when I think about it. Okay, I'll try again. So as they say on Blue Peter, here's one I made earlier, although like I say, I did this a couple of years ago, and as you can see, it's a collection of newspaper cuttings and magazine cuttings that I've just put together. Basically, it was an experiment again. I like to try different medium and different ways of creating art, and to be perfectly honest, I think there was a general kind of theme there, but I couldn't honestly say exactly what that theme was supposed to be. I mean, there's a picture of fashion, there's an article about a memorial that was done in graffiti art at the top of the page there, and I've cut out letters and words that, and I've called the paper the Artist Evening Post. But as you can see, so it can be done, and I have done it before. This is all newspaper cuttings on canvas, so I can't see why it's not working now. Anyway, I'll try again. Okay, so I'm very conscious of how long these little clips are taking, even though they're under a minute, and I would imagine that you won't be able to show all of these, but I'll do them anyway, and we'll just work from that, I guess. But anyway, now I've got it stuck to the canvas. It's not best, but I think for now it will do, because I think I'm going to go down the route of the varnish again. And what I've done is created these little post-it notes, and basically I've just put all sorts of things that people may put on post-it notes. They don't really mean anything. I've just made them up, but I imagine that these might be little messages people would leave to each other or to themselves, because I'm sure we all have used post-it notes at some point or other. I know I do. I've got a lot up here that you can't see at the moment, but they're on the thing that all my different usernames and stuff like that, passwords for my logins on different sites, and basically I'm going to paste these around the image of my computer, and as I say, it's a comment on how we sort of live our lives by these things these days. Anyway, so that's gone over well over a minute. Okay, so being creative is not only just about making art in that sense of painting and drawing, but it's also getting creative with trying to solve issues around creating art. I've come up with the idea of stapling this to the canvas. Might not be the most orthodox way of doing things, but if it gets the job done, I guess. That's always been my philosophy. You know, I don't believe in necessarily schools of art. I mean, yeah, they've got their place, and obviously they can teach you a lot. But in terms of being an artist and creating art, whatever your art is, you know, and whatever it says and whatever it's about, ultimately, I think that's what art is. You know, it's your own creativity, your own creative spirit, and you know, if there's some people say there's rules and regulations to different types of art, well, whatever. As I say, my most orthodox way of doing it, but I'm stapling it to the canvas because the glue just isn't working. So, might be a bit, like I say, not the done thing, but if it gets the job done and the piece works, then I think that's great. Okay, thanks. So there we go, there's the finished article. Well, I say finished, I mean, the thing is, I was also thinking, you see, I'm a painter by nature, and my instinct is to paint on canvas rather than sort of create collage or even do what I've done here, to be quite honest. I mean, to be quite honest, I feel very much like a fake, to be quite honest. I don't feel like a proper artist in the sense that I've created a piece of work. Do you know what I mean? It feels very much like I've just sort of, well, you know, bodged it, I guess, whatever. The thing is that art is in the eye of the beholder sometimes, and although I don't fully perhaps appreciate what I've done here, and that's me, I'm the one that's done it, and I don't fully appreciate what I've done here, but that said, I'm still going to let it stand. I don't know, this is going over slightly over a minute here, but basically, as I say, this is the finished article, but I was thinking that I've left a few spaces around, and if this ever gets up in a gallery somewhere or whatever, if it ever does, I was thinking maybe they could hang a little post-it note next to it and people could add to it, so it's not really a finished piece of work, but it's a work in progress, and other people can add to it, add whatever they want. You know, so, and again, this is opening up ideas for me about possible other future pieces of work that the public can actually add to it, and be a part of it, rather than it just be a static painting or picture. Okay, thanks very much.